It's an elimination day for the NFRN Amateur Cup Series. 12 drivers entered these playoffs. One has claimed victory and the other 11 are trying to make sure that they will see another round. They'll have to test a difficult track to make sure that they will ensure their spot in the round of 8. From SimTel Park, this is the Wisconsin 300. Hello again everybody, I'm Colin Denton with RVN and welcome to the 15th round of the Amateur Cup Series. As mentioned, 12 drivers entered the playoffs. Only Connor Mays has claimed a victory, got the win at Nashville. Now the other drivers are making sure that they will not be a part of that bottom 4 that gets eliminated from the playoffs entirely. Currently, the cut line sees Donnie Moore ahead of Austin Rogers by 2 points, but everyone is still in flux on who is going to be out based on where they finished today. Shane Boyle and John Gilbert, they're over 30 points ahead, but they can't feel too safe about that because someone like Eric Van Arsdale back in 12th place could claim a victory, move himself to the top of the board, and that reverberates across the entire field. So, these drivers are going to have a tough task ahead of them as they head to this 1.25 mile oval. They're going to have to look for track position. It's high speeds. We're not sure about the passing. Might depend on tire wear. You could be a little bit aggressive in these corners, but ultimately, it's going to come down to who can get out in front, stay there, and move themselves ahead in the playoffs. It's all going to happen here today in Wisconsin. The top 14 in Truck Series standings would take to the track first to test it out. Adam Kuhn and Tyler Reed on the front row. Positions would switch up a little bit as Mike Simpson forces his way past Adam Kuhn, who's now trapped on the outside at 3 wide. Definitely want to be within that shaded area where the groove is, and right here Tyler Reed gets a good run off of turn 2 and makes a run to the inside of Mike Simpson. Going to try to take the lead away from him heading into turn 3, and he'll be successful in that. However, here comes Steve Ray, who's going to take advantage of Reed washing up the racetrack, and he's going to lose a couple spots there. Simpson fights his way back, and then Simpson's eventually going to get by Ray for the lead while Tyler Reed continues to lose spots. That outside line is not the preferred line, and he is finding out the hard way as Simpson gets across the line first. He'll win this part-timer race. So looking at the final results from that, Simpson, Steve Ray, Jim Fowler, Jesse McConnell, Dylan Lexton, and Adam Kuhn will advance to the main feature. Ross Kispin just on the outside. Tyler Reed falls all the way back to 8th place despite battling for a spot early on. Both the Western Motorsport drivers outside the top 10, along with chase competitors Jasper Rawls and Clint McComb. They'll miss the field. And taking the hot seat award for this race is the local product, Craig Martin, Wisconsin native. He's got 3 top 10s in a row. Nazareth and NASCAR 7th place finishes, a 5th at Nashville, where he also took the pole. And here's a quick reminder of how those playoff standings look. Connor Mays, the only driver that's locked into the next round. Everyone else is up in the air based on how they finished today. Donnie Moore and Austin Rogers in the most precarious spot, 2 points separating them. We will see how they all finish out today here at SimTel Park. Ceremonies are about to begin. Let's head down trackside and get the starting command.
And now for the most famous words in motorsports. Please welcome your Grand Marshals, Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina employees and breast cancer survivors Farrah Palumbo and Catherine Hornbeck.
Drivers, start your engines!
Everybody fire up when you're ready.
42 engines roar to life, and now we'll see which 8 drivers will move on to the next round of the playoffs. Let's take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Chaser Shane Borland starts up front in the number 60 Krispy Kreme Ford. He actually got the pole in the Elite Cup Series race at NASCAR, and he's got 3 top 15s in a row heading into this one. Kyle Bichelli in the number 14 Genevieve Ford has never scored a top 20 on an intermediate track. He starts runner-up. In row 2, we have 2 drivers that finished next to each other at Nashville, the most recent intermediate race. Jacob Rose and Ergil Alonso, 13th and 14th respectively. On the inside of row 3, 19-car fan scored his 4th top 10 of the season at NASCAR. Jim Fowler making his 2nd straight series start. Our next 2 chasers line up in row 4. Austin Rogers, the first driver below the playoff cut line, and Kyle Law got an 11th place run at Nashville. That was his best intermediate finish. Rounding out the top 10 are Ray Chapman, his best intermediate finish coming at Peoria with a 20th, and Griffin Lynn, 4 top 20s in the last 5 races. Jesse McConnell in 11th got a top 10 in his first Amateur Cup Series start at Pikes Peak. Robert Harrison on his outside, the top playoff driver on intermediate tracks on average finish. Row 7 has John Gilbert, 3rd in the points right now, and Eric Van Arsdale, who is currently 12th in the points, 20 points back of the cut line. We find Anthony Lopez on the inside of row 8, averages a 9th place finish on the intermediate tracks. Steve Ray got his best career finish last race at NASCAR, a 4th place run. Row 9 has Jack Freeman, who's finished 29th in the past 2 races. Jake Thomas has got back-to-back top 20s. Row 10 has our hot seat driver Craig Martin, got his career best 5th place finish at Nashville. Adam Kuhn making his 4th straight Amateur Cup Series start. Alexander Rowe on the inside of row 11, the top driver overall on the intermediate tracks, and Donnie Moore currently holding the edge on the playoff cut line. We've got the winner from NASCAR, Mike Simpson, on the inside of row 12. On his outside is Colin Lindsay, who finished 4th at Nashville. Noah Kim posted his career best finish 3rd at NASCAR. Chris Harley currently has 3 straight finishes outside the top 30, in danger of missing the round of 8. Row 14 has Justin Roadback, 1 top 20 in the last 6 races, and Dylan Lexton making his first Amateur Cup Series start not on a super speedway. In row 15, we have Jay Jefferson riding a streak of back-to-back top 10s, and Jason Thales, who has 2 straight top 10s on intermediate tracks. AJ Jones returns after a terrifying accident at NASCAR. He'll be on the inside of row 16. On his outside is Joey Radcliffe. No top 25 finishes for him on intermediate tracks. In row 17, TJ Smith finished 3rd at Nashville, and Kenny Knox got his 7th top 10 at NASCAR, still looking for that first victory as he tries to advance in the playoffs. Another playoff driver in row 18, Dwayne Calloway, got his 2nd top 5 at NASCAR. Andy Coleman finished near the back, 41st at that track. Dwayne's brother Al comes in just behind him on row 19. 5 top 10s in the last 6 races. TJ Ball on the outside got his 2nd top 5 in the last 3 races at NASCAR. 2 playoff drivers in row 20 with different outlooks. Sparky the Sun Devil has 2 straight sub-30 finishes on the outside of the cut line. Meanwhile, Connor Mays locked into the next round. And in the final row are the 2 drivers that have finished 12th in the last 2 races. Chase Baldwin at Nashville and Ryan Kendall at NASCAR. The drivers are locked and loaded for 40 laps here in western Wisconsin. The NFRN X live streams are open now. Go check out the playoff drivers and their onboards throughout this entire race. Coming down the front stretch, Borland's going to lead them to the green flag here at SimTel. Borland got the better initial start, and he gets the edge on Bisceglia heading into turn 1, but now coming through 3 and 4, Jacob Rose going to the inside, and he's going to lead lap 1. Maintaining that inside line is going to be critical here, and Borland way up the racetrack outside the gray, and he's going to lose a couple more spots as a result. Rose to the lead, 19 car fan, now to 2nd, and here comes Austin Rogers challenging for 3rd, trying to be the highest running playoff driver in this field right now. On board, Austin Rogers started this race 7th, worked his way up to 5th on that last lap, and now up to 3rd. Remember, he was 2 points below the cut line entering this race, and now he is 26 points above it. Meanwhile, Donnie Moore has dropped below, 5 points behind Kenny Knox. And these positions are going to be constantly changing, just a matter of where does everyone stack up at the end of this 40-lap run. As we mentioned, Connor Mays is the only driver that doesn't have to worry about this at all, and he's faded to the rear of the field, although it does look like he's working his way back up. He did start on the outside of the 2nd to last row, so probably didn't have a good opportunity to get a good position in line, but now he is on the inside, and Kenny Knox right in front of him. He is 7 points above the cut line, but because he is so far back, he's got plenty of positions to make up, so could still be a decent position for Kenny Knox. Just needs to make sure that doesn't get too out of hand. Jacob Rose holding down the lead, best intermediate finish coming at Nashville, got a 13th place run, and now leading this field. He actually has 12 laps led this season, and those all came at super speedways, and this track really acts like a super speedway despite its small distance. 1.25 miles around this racetrack. Rose is holding down the lead. 19-car Fando trying to pounce. Doesn't quite have the prestige on this type of track that other drivers do. He has finished outside the top 30 in the past 2 intermediate tracks. Those races coming at Peoria and Nashville, but he is trying to see if he can take the lead. He's looking a little bit lower than Rose is. Rose has his left side tires in the groove and the right side's out in the light gray, and that might give the 97 an opportunity to make a slingshot here. Looks like he is looking low going into turn 3. High-speed corner. And he's going to try to propel himself right here. Side by side coming out of turn 4, and they're still side by side. 16 car holding himself there, but the 97 will lead the lap. and he should have the advantage entering turn 1, and Rose washes up the track, and Rogers should be able to get second. 6 laps complete here. Amateur Cup Series racing from SimTel Park. Car fan continues to hold the lead here at SimTel Park, but Austin Rogers refuses to go away. Chase driver who came in below the cut line looking for a win here to ensure that he's going to the next round, and obviously a good finish would probably put him in as well, as he currently runs 27 points above the cut line, but best finish of 25th over the past 3 races, including Nazareth, Nashville, and NASCAR, and that 25th came at Nashville, and now he's making a move to the inside of 19 car fan. He could get the lead here if he's able to force him up the track. And there we go. The 44 propels himself up to the points. And if he can grab the lead at the line, then he'll get a bonus point. That'll help him out in the playoff hunt. Also seeing Kyle Bisceglia making a move to the inside of the 97. Outside pole sitter fell back a little bit, and he is working his way back up through the field, trying to see if he can grab his first win in the sport. Looking back at Shane Borland, who's dropped back to 5th place, the pole sitter. And he entered this race in pretty good position, not mathematically clinched, but he is still 60 points above the cut line. He has 9 straight races where his worst finish is 23rd in that stretch. Got that clinching victory at Nazareth. Really, all the momentum is in his favor. He has got to keep it going to see if he can go for a title, and at the moment, he's doing pretty well. Wants to get back up, though, and get that victory. Let's continue going back through the playoff field. John Gilbert in 8th position. He is also in a very good position in the chase grid, 52 points above the cut line, and Kyle Wall just behind him. All the drivers doing well in the chase right now are up at the front of the field, and really surprising to see Kyle Wall as good as he is right now, because he hasn't had a top 10 since he had 3 straight top 2s, 2 victories and a runner-up. We'll note that he did finish 11th at Nashville, but still looking for that top 10, currently in position to get that. A driver that suffered a reversal of fortunes is Chris Harley. Take a look at the averages between the first 6 races of the season and the last 8. That's a 22-spot gap between those stretches. A driver that won 2 races in the first 6 events now faces elimination. He is currently 18 points below the cut line, running in the 21st position. Dwayne Calloway runs 2 spots behind him, but above the cut line, had a 5th place run at NASCAR, and that is really helping out his point situation. He's going to have to make sure he stays out of trouble today. And meanwhile, Eric Van Arsdale, who came in with the biggest deficit on the day, is struggling still. Didn't have a great qualifying run, struggling to make up ground. And here we go. We got a battle for the lead back at the front. Kyle Bisceglia working his way to the inside of Austin Rogers, who's led a decent stretch of laps, but now the 44 car is going to go up the track, and now the 14 to the front. So Rogers hoping that he got enough laps there to get another bonus point, and if Bisceglia leads at the line, that'll be his first lap led in this series. Robert Harrison finds himself pretty deep in traffic as well. He's 2 spots back from Eric Van Arsdale. He's still 17 points above the cut line, but keeping himself in a tedious spot. Here's Donnie Moore, who needs to make up ground, 10 points below the cut line. And right now, it just seems like, even though they have the line that they know they have to run, it seems like they're running single file at the moment. They know where the groove is, they know where the speed is, and we're seeing a couple moves at the front of the field, but it seems like further back in the field, the dirty air is keeping these guys from being aggressive. So right now, it's pretty stagnant. That's not going to worry a driver like Connor Mays, who already has a victory in this round, but definitely going to worry drivers like Donnie Moore, Chris Harley, Van Arsdale, and Sparky, who rides just behind Mays, that want to get positions, but they are not going to be able to if they keep running in single file like they are. And this positioning seems to be a bad trend for the driver. The 1 car did not qualify well at Nashville and never had time to make up the ground. At NASCAR, they had a decent qualifying spot, but the pit strategy just didn't seem to work in their favor, so now they are in a deep hole, and did not qualify well once again on the inside of row 20. As we mentioned, Kenny Knox is pretty far back in the field. Doesn't seem like he's made up the ground that the 84 car has, but again, 10 points above the cut line. It's okay right now because it doesn't seem like anyone's shifting positions, but you just kind of have to pray that none of those drivers below the cut line make up ground, maybe on the pit stops. We're approaching halfway in the race, and those green flag pit stops should be coming soon. We are halfway through the Amateur Cup Series race at SimTel Park, where Kyle Bisceglia has taken the lead and gotten a decent gap. Jacob Rose still within striking distance, but 14 car has established himself here. And we're still waiting for those green flag pit stops, and obviously crossing the halfway point of the race, we should only see one stop here. So it's a matter of when do they come and take it. Donnie Moore still 10 points below the cut line to Kenny Knox. This is going to be a critical stop, and we see drivers coming down to the low side. Some are staying out, some are coming down. Kyle Bisceglia is going to lead that group. Austin Rogers, Shane Borland also a part of it. Kyle Wall in the background. So what will these drivers take? Will be a 4-tire strategy. Ray Chapman, the first one to stay out. John Gilbert just behind him. Potentially seeing if maybe one of them would try to lead a lap. Donnie Moore pulls into a stall. The crew goes around to the right side, and they're setting up tires on the wall, so this is going to be a 4-tire stop. I would imagine that everyone's going to go for 4 tires here on this lone pit stop of the race, or at least it should be the only pit stop of the race. We'll see if anyone maybe short fills on fuel. Shane Borland still in his pit stall as the 14 and the 16 pull away. And now the 60 finally pulls off as Rogers got out in front of him. Again, these drivers seem like they're in pretty safe position. Maybe not so for Eric Van Arsdale. Pulls into his stall. Across the line 9th, but he's going to fall several spots behind once he exits pit road. And we'll see where he cycles out and if he has a chance of getting into the round of 8. Gilbert pulls away. There goes Chris Harley. He's out in front of the 67, and there goes the leaders. They're going to be plenty behind, but we kind of expected that. Everyone kind of came down on the same 2 laps. So Bisceglia is out in front. Rose still within striking distance. And there's Chapman. He looks like he's going to pull out in 4th position. Austin Rogers also got back there, and he's in 3rd. So Bisceglia finds his way back to the front of the field. There's Kenny Knox pulling back onto the racetrack. Came down on the 2nd lap. And once they get back around to the line, here we go. Here's the reset order, and Donnie Moore is 1 point ahead of Kenny Knox. That was a slow stop for Knox. What in the world happened on that stop? Because the 50 car was 10 points behind coming into those stops, and now he's 1 point ahead. And now all of the pressure is on the Eagle Motorsports team to get back in front and get into this round of 8. Hopefully they listen to their drivers' feedback, because it seems like track position is the name of the game here. Passing is a rarity. Austin Rogers reinserts himself in 3rd to have a 17-point gap to the cut line. Will he take the victory, or will it go to Bisceglia or Rose? 16 laps to go here at SimTel Park. Back at SimTel Park, where there's 2 big battles going on track. The battle for the lead and the battle for the final transfer spot. Kyle Bisceglia was high on that lap, and Rose had the opportunity to go for a little bit of ground, and now he's cutting to the inside, trying to see if he can go for the lead once again. Rose stays on the bottom line. Can he force the 14 up into the light gray? It looks like he will. The 16 gonna try to take it here, but the 14 battling back. Great run on the 14 car to get back out in front, even though he was high on the track. And now the 44 working his way back up toward the front. It's a 3-car battle for the win here, but Donnie Moore still holds a 2-point advantage over Kenny Knox at the playoff cut line. Watching this battle from on board the 44 car, the 14 once again high on the racetrack, Rose to the lead, and Rogers gonna fight for second. And he's got it. And now Rogers gonna see if he can get the momentum to get the lead on Rose coming into this corner. He looks low, can he get it? He's got the corner. Gets it side by side, can he get the speed off the edge? And he can't. 16 still out in front, Rogers gonna settle for second. What happens in this corner? Rose rides the top of the groove, and the 44 car will settle for second for now. Great battle up here. 3 Fords battling for the win. In fact, let's one up that 7 of the top 8 drivers are Fords right now, and we're riding on board Craig Martin, one of those, and actually he's going to lose a spot there to Alonso. Haven't seen this onboard look from Martin yet, but let's give him some love because home state driver is running inside the top 10 with 10 laps to go in this race. Meanwhile, Kenny Knox is wishing that a caution would fly or that this race would be 20 laps longer because he just needs something to go his way. 36th at the moment, below the cut line by 2 points. And really, he didn't have a great run coming into these playoffs. Several bad finishes. That streak got broken at NASCAR when he finished 9th, but now he's showing that really the momentum died entering these playoffs, and he's still winless in this series. Donnie Moore hasn't necessarily been impressive lately either. In the last 10 races, 1 top 10. But really, all you got to do is you just got to have the points to get to the next round, and that's what he's doing right now. And for Chris Harley, the gap extended even further back. It looks like it's danger zone for the 2-time winner. Chris Harley had such high expectations after grabbing a victory at Pigs Cliff and then at Pigs Speed Dome. But right now, it just does not look like he is going to advance to the round of 8. That's going to be a huge upset for this field. It looks like the 1 car is also bound to be out. 30 points below the cut line. He's going to get passed up there by Colin Lindsay, so another spot lost. Just not going the way for this Ramco team, and obviously the Season 1 champion, Rampage, dropped out of the Elite Cup Series playoffs last race at NASCAR, and looks like another one of their drivers is going to bite the dust after all 4 of their drivers made their playoffs in their respective series. Looking back at the front battle, Rose still leading Rogers, Bisceglia just behind him. Ray Chapman has reeled them in. Kind of surprised to see that. The 25 car hasn't been necessarily in this conversation, but he is within striking distance as we hit 6 laps to go, this time by at the line. Ford's continuing to dominate as they hold down the top 5 spots in this race. That's going to be good for the manufacturer. Now it's just a matter of which of those drivers is going to win. Jacob Rose seeking his first career victory. Rogers trying to see if he can get a second win just for some momentum. Doesn't necessarily need to win here today. As you can see, he's 18 points above the cut line, but why not go for a victory if it's going to be in a safe manner? What I find really impressive about Chapman's run right now is that this is his worst track type. Averages a 30th place finish on the intermediates. Best finish of 20th came at Peoria. He is showing that he can have some force here, and obviously his teammate Connor Mays got a victory earlier on at Nashville. Not running so well here today, but doesn't necessarily need to. Mostly he's looking for a morale boost heading into the final 4 races. We look back at Kenny Knox, 2 points out still, but you can see he's just not getting any closer to Lopez out in front of him. Seems like the dirty air is really impacting these race cars, and they continue to run single file. Hopefully this isn't a sign of things to come in the Elite Cup Series race. Obviously different packages, so not quite sure what we're going to see. Rogers looking low. He was thinking about it. 3 laps to go here at SimTel Park, and he is thinking about a victory. But he didn't quite get there yet. Rose is still holding it down. I mentioned earlier, Rose had 12 laps led on the season, all at super speedways. Today he has surpassed that mark in 1 race. Now it's a matter of can he lead the last lap. Career best finish is 3rd. That came at a road course, Mirage 2. But right now he's leading up here in Wisconsin with under 2 laps to go. and pressure still from a playoff driver. And like we said, the dirty air just seems to be impacting these race cars, but we've seen passes for the lead this race. So can the 44 car do something that can get him up front for the end of this one? White flag waving now. The 44 car looked low, but didn't have the momentum to get off the corner. 16 has to not make a mistake in these final couple corners. Stay in the groove, and you've got this one won. Continues to draft, heading down into the final corner, and it does not look like he's going to make a move. He's going to look a little bit low, but can he get there? It does not appear like he can. Jacob Rose is going to take victory here today at SimTel Park. And as these cars funnel through single file, it appears that Donnie Moore is going to grab the last transfer spot, and Kenny Knox is not going to make the round of 8. So what a battle from here at SimTel Park. Jacob Rose grabbing that victory, the first one in his career, and hopefully that's a good omen for the 2 remaining RPG7 Motorsport drivers in the Elite Cup Series chase. That would be Jack Porkins and Stuart Gratton. Looking at the final results here, Rogers will come home in the second position, but that is good enough to put him into the round of 8. Kyle Bisceglia, who put up a valiant effort, led several laps there, ends up in third, and Ray Chapman, a driver that doesn't necessarily fare well at intermediate tracks, comes home in fourth. Jesse McConaughey rounding out the top 5, and it's an all-Ford top 5. John Gilbert and Shane Borland also up here inside the top 10. The local product, Craig Martin, gets a 10th place run. Unfortunately for him, he's going to have 2 Wisconsin tracks back-to-back as we go to Milwaukee Mile next race. A little bit further down the grid, Robert Harrison, Kyle Law, getting top 20 is good enough for them to get into the next round, and Donnie Moore will end up in the 19th position. And in hindsight of the battle for the last transfer spot, it looked like Kenny Knox had a bad pit stop, but actually Donnie Moore had a great pit stop. Before that cycle, he was in 32nd position. So he actually gained 13 spots there on that pit stop. So what a great move by that Western Motorsports team, getting their driver out in front. And looking further down at the grid, Chris Harley never had the finishes go his way. This was actually his best finish of the round, 21st. Never registered a top 20 in this round, neither did Eric Van Arsdale. So Harley, the 2-time winner this season, will not advance to the round of 8, and Eric Van Arsdale, who's won twice in the NFRN Champions League, will not advance either. Dwayne Calloway, who finished 24th, did enough to make his way in. At the back of the field, Connor Mays comes home in 33rd. Never really mattered for him. It did matter, though, for Kenny Knox. Pit crew just didn't get him off as fast as Donnie Moore's crew did. And he never made up ground, and the 50 car is going to the playoffs next round instead of the 76. Sparky the Sun Devil also suffering a similar fate here as he finishes at 38th position. Not a good run for the Ramco team. Also a little bit surprised we didn't get to talk about Mike Simpson this race. Got the victory at NASCAR and then won the heat race heading into this one, and he finishes all the way back in 41st position. So here are the final chase standings for this round. Mays, Borland, Gilbert, Law, Harrison, Rogers, Callaway, Moore all get in. Knox is out by 2 points. Harley, Van Arsdale, and Sparky all out by 20 or more points. Should give props to Austin Rogers for that great run, putting himself into the playoffs when he came in out, and great run by both of the Rain Racing drivers. They will both be in the round of 8. As for the standings outside of the chase, Craig Martin holds the top spot still with a 10th place run, but Jacob Rose, with his victory, now up to 14th. That means that he'll get to attempt to qualify for the Elite Cup Series race. It's a good run for him. Kyle Bisceglia also made some decent movements after finishing inside the top 5, started the race 34th in points, and now he's up to 29th. Quick look at the team standings, which had both of the teams up top have a good representative in this race. Ray Chapman for Coca Racing finishing 4th, Austin Rogers for Rain Racing finishing in 2nd. And here's a look at the drivers that will be competing to get into the Elite Cup Series race. That'll be coming up in just a few moments. Obviously, all the chasers will still be involved in this, even the ones that just got eliminated, but now you can add Jacob Rose into the field. He'll be driving the 95 in this race. So a lot of shuffling up front for the lead. Ends up with Jacob Rose out in front when the checkered flag flies. He grabs his first career victory. Meanwhile, in the chase, Donnie Moore and the 50 team with a fast pit stop puts him ahead of Kenny Knox to move him into the round of 8. The Amateur Cup Series will be off when the Elite and Truck Series head to Ontario, but after that, it's a trip across the state to Milwaukee Mile. That'll be the first race of the round of 8 for this series and a cutoff race for the Elite Cup Series. Stay tuned because the Elite Cup Series race from SimTel Park is coming up in just a few moments. For NFRN and RVM, my name is Colin Denton. We will see you all next time.